Today we have with us someone who has been doing stunts in Bollywood since many years. She is Sanober Pardiwalla. She has done stunts for the movies like Dhoom 2, Bang Bang, Ravan, Race 3. So, ma'am, here comes the first question. This is a male dominated field. So, how did you enter into this field?
Well, I entered into this field out of sheer passion for my things that I was doing. I was a black belt in karate by the age of 12, and at that point in time, I had to perform a somersault and I had to kind of, land from 30
Right.
feet height. So I could do that, and I could do that with ease. So that is how I looked ahead and thought of pursuing it as my career, because I could understand a lot of things. I could get a grasp of a lot of things on set, and that's where I realized, hey, why not consider this into something, because I really loved being on set. I
Right.
loved performing, and I could perform with ease. I could understand what is camera, light,
Right.
and the whole effect of it, how the whole thing kind of goes together to kind of get one stunt executed.
Right.
I could understand that at greater depths. So that's where I decided, why
Great.
not convert it into my profession.
Right. So, as I just said, that we live in a society where, it becomes really difficult for us to convince our parents or our relatives or the society which we live in. So, how did you convince your parents? Because this involves a lot of risk. So, I'm sure it would have been difficult for you to
Yes,
convince
my
your parents.
parents earlier were only worried about my safety.
Right.
I think from when it comes to a profession where a lot of life risk is involved, any parent would be concerned about
Exactly.
your safety.
Yes.
So I think with my mother also, she was her primary concern was my safety. And when
Right.
she realized that I am not doing it out of just being an adrenaline rookie or just, jumping off things without even having the knowledge of how to fall and roll and not get hurt.
Right.
So she realized that I have that knowledge, and I, can very well take care of myself. And since day one, safety was my priority.
Right.
Even in the times when people used to think that, "Arey, you are the stunt artist, तो क्या हुआ पाव टूटा तो?"
Right.
They had that psychology. Even in
Right.
that era, I used to be the game changer, and I used to change the entire mindset, saying, no, I'm a stunt artist. It's my job to perform and not get hurt.
Right.
That's my job, not
Right.
to perform and get hurt and be okay with it.
Right. So it wasn't that difficult probably for you to convince your parents because
Yes,
you
because
would
they realized how safety is my priority also.
Right,
And I
right.
wouldn't do anything blindly.
Right.
They realized at the age of 12 also I have the ability to say no.
Right.
Social pressure never affected me. So if I
Right.
could say no for a particular stunt, I
Right.
would say no. I
Right.
wouldn't. It wouldn't matter that if it is in front of 100 or 200 people.
Right.
I'd say no. You're dumb. This is not how it's done.
Right, right, right.
Flat.
Right. Uh, the next
So I think
question
that
is
actually convinced them.
Yeah.
That made them believe that, okay, whatever she does, she's gonna be safe.
yeah. So probably they know that you're going to prioritize yourself before the
Before
stunts
the
that
stunts.
you'll be
Yes,
performing.
yes.
So like which is one of the most scariest scene that you would have done like till date? Any scene that you remember from
Yeah.
any of the movies?
There are
Like
many.
which one? Like the scariest one?
There are many. Underwater is especially very challenging because you have to kind of get a grasp of your breath. You have to understand your lung volume, your lung capacity, and a lot of things. And then when you're performing underwater, you're practically blind because you're not even performing with your goggles on. So you're practically blind. You don't even know where your rescue diver in which direction is coming from, and you cannot afford to panic underwater.
Right.
You just cannot afford to. So you have to stay very calm. So a lot of
Right.
underwater stunts is also something that I really find it the most challenging.
Right. So any specific scene that you remember that you would want to share with us from any of the movies?
There was this one sequence where I was supposed to be trapped in a car. The car goes through an accident, jumps off
Right.
straight into the pond. Water starts filling in. The car starts sinking. So we are actually shooting this sinking shot where the camera is inside the water and the car goes passes the camera. So for all that while, you cannot be using the breath,
Yeah.
the oxygen breath giver.
Right.
You cannot be using that simply
Right.
for the fact that obviously you can see it in the camera. So there was a point, till a point where you could use it, hold your breath, put it down, act as if you're drowning with the car. Again, you're practically blind. All you have to do is listen to the mic and react. And then when they say, okay, breathe, is where you calmly make sure that you've not lost
Oh my God.
the mouthpiece and that you're grabbing it and then putting it on.
So you have to be really active.
You have
and
to
you
be
need to
very
have
mindful and
presence of mind.
very alert with presence of mind.
Right, right. So obviously you have to be so calm while dealing with certain situations or certain risks that you are attempting to. So the another question that comes to my mind is, what is your fitness routine? Because usually because you are doing stunts, obviously you have to be flexible, you
course.
need that. So what is your fitness routine?
Well, I have a mix of workouts that I do. One day I would do yoga, one day I would do Pilates, one day I would do core body workout, someday I would only do meditation, someday I would do a lot of breath work. So someday swimming, someday it just completely depends on how the day is. If I'm too tired, maybe only 10 minutes of my workout. If I am having an easy day, probably an hour of the workout. So it completely depends on how the day is.
So any specific diet that you follow? Or
I'm
anything?
very conscious about what I eat.
Right.
So food, I believe, should be a part of your food should act as medicine and not the other way around where food makes you take the medicine.
Right.
So for me, food again plays a major role. I have studied exercise physiology and nutrition. So I don't only train celebrities and people for fitness training and guide them towards nutrition, but also I take care of it on my own self. So I cook my own food. I eat a lot of healthy foods and I have adapted my taste buds also in a manner. So it's not that I don't enjoy eating a burger.
Right.
I may enjoy eating a burger, but I'll enjoy my taste buds and my mindset is tuned to eating something which is good for my body.
Right.
Which is good for my soul.
Right.
So I will enjoy things. It's all about tuning your taste buds. So like a baby, if you kind of, feed the baby the fruits, he'll always love it. But if you don't, he may not like it. He or she.
Also, I think if you're physically fit, that helps you mentally as well, right?
Yes,
so
it does.
Directly
so
relate.
your food also really matters because the more you eat triglycerides and the more you eat high carb meals or high sugar meals, it drastically affects your hormones and your mood also.
Right.
So what happens is you kind of feel dull, you feel lethargic after eating a meal, your energy levels drop, a lot of such things happen. So yes, that is where food, I believe, should be as medicine and not the other way around.
Right. So the next question is, do you have or do you follow any kind of private policies, like before a director or a producer approaches to you and once you agree on that particular project, do you share like a list of policies that that particular director or producer has to follow before casting you in the
No, there is unfortunately there is nothing like that. There are no list of policies or mediclaims or insurances that follow through.
Because usually when we are going, like when we take a vaccine, right, they will give you that warning that probably it might affect you in a different manner. So any such kind of policies that you follow? No, not really.
Not that I don't follow, there are none that exist.
Right. So do you think there should be special policies that should be drafted clearly for stunt men or women who are being casted in?
2 points. Majorly, clearance of payment on time.
Right.
And second, the mediclaim.
Right.
So, they should nowadays come up with this concept where I have worked in a lot of Hollywood projects also. So, what they do is when there is an action sequence involved, a lot of insurance and mediclaim is in place for that sequence, for that particular sequence. So, not that they are buying you mediclaim.
It's not a long term
It's not a long term thing. It's particularly to that project and to that stunt related thing. So, if in case, God forbid, something goes wrong, you are taken care of, the producer is not burdened, and everything is, in its place. But in India, sadly, that's never the case.
Right. So there should be a proper policy list, right? That one must
Yeah,
follow?
so basic, not
Basic,
like
yeah,
a full like a 10-page list
Yeah,
where
yeah,
people
yeah.
take 10 days to
Definitely.
read,
Yes,
but
yes.
definitely a short
Something.
two-liners which kind of cover your mediclaim in
Right.
case of an injury, and yeah,
Right.
basic stuffs.
Right. Which is the craziest thing that you have done in any of the movies, if you remember? One of the anecdotes from any movie.
I
if you
think
could
Bang
share.
Bang is one of the best movies
Bang Bang,
because it
okay.
contains every genre of stunt, from glass breaks to cars to bikes to
So you love cars and
fights.
bikes, is
Yes,
it?
yes, I love them. And to
Okay.
fights and to falls and to what not underwater. We did everything possible in Bang
Right.
Bang.
So how much time does it take to perform like one simple stunt? If it's like a very basic stunt, how much time does it require? Or how many number of retakes do you
It
usually?
completely depends on the director and it depends on the stunt. Sometimes it can just be done in a day versus it can take 10 days.
Right.
It completely depends on what stunt it is and what are the
So
kind
have
of
there been
actions.
days where you had to take retakes and retakes and retakes till the shot wasn't perfect?
Not always. Not always. No, no, no. Never.
Not
No.
not a single instance. That's a
No.
good thing then. Another question is, have you ever said no to any of the films and then you would have got this thing in your mind that you start regretting that I wish I would have said yes to that film.
No,
Any
honestly,
film
no.
that
I don't regret anything that I do. So if I've said no to something, it's for a good reason.
Right.
And if something doesn't happen, then it's also again for a better reason. So
Right.
I don't regret a single thing that I've said
Great,
or
because
done.
usually when you ask different celebrities, they would say, "Oh, ये किया होता तो अच्छा होता है ना."
No,
So,
no, no, not at all. I don't regret saying no to anything and yes to anything.
right.
I really stand by my word and my choices I make.
Right. So thank you so much for spending a few minutes of yours with us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.